Hi guys, very special day today. Two firsts. We've got our first female. Say hello, Leanne.
Hello, Leanne.
No, and our first on out and about. So I want these videos to be out and about. Obviously, we can't always be in a studio. Not that I've ever been in one, but it's the first day. I always start with a little introduction, Leanne, on how I met you. So I first met you when I come to Blackpool, and I was broken. I remember it was a Sunday night at a meeting, and you made me laugh, and you've continued to make me laugh. You know what I mean? There's many similarities. So just starting off. So obviously there'll be people who know you on this. No one love you, I might add, but there'll be people who don't know you. So a bit of background on who you are and what you're about.
Or me?
Right,
yeah. So obviously, Leanne, if you can't tell by the accent, I'm from Burnley, but I have lived all over the northwest. Listen, I'm in recovery for the second time. It's 2.5 years, completely abstinent this time, but I've had like 20 odd years worth of addiction, and there's loads more to my life, but that has controlled it for many years. The sesh life. No, but it's true, it's been the sesh life. I'm not your addict who's been in jail and mastermind criminal and all that kind of shit. I thought I was at some point, but I wasn't. It was more about the sesh, the party, the rave, staying awake to stay alive, all that kind of stuff. So is that enough for now? Yeah?
That's plenty, yeah. Now, I always start with this one question before we get into the nitty gritty, and I'm going to throw this out because I don't know the answer to this one, but do you believe in God?
And it is, it is a mad question, that. And in all honesty, I'm starting to, yeah, that is the true answer. I'm starting to. And it's only the last 2.5 years, the last 2.5 years that I've started to think that there's got to be a higher power. There has to be. I definitely believe in a higher power. That would probably be a better answer.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
completely believe in a higher power. I don't know whether that stands as God to me. I don't know what exactly that means, but definitely. Spirituality now is definitely a thing. There's no way I would be alive otherwise.
Yeah, so that's it. It's a bit of a trick question, the God statement, you know what I mean? Because for me, it's a higher power.
Yeah,
so that's it. So right, first thing I want to talk about, I'm very similar to us, which I realised when I first met you, is accents. I've got a very distinctive accent, and so have you.
Have you?
Have you, darling? All right, what makes me laugh is I've seen you relax, like we've been talking, and when you relax, your vocabulary gets faster, and I can't understand the word you say. People suffer with that. So what I imagine is like, so in your hometown when you're with a bunch of your crew and you're all going at it, mad on one. Yeah, just make me laugh, because when I'm around my mates, it's exactly the same. So what do you like your accent, and what do you think it means to you?
Do you know what? Accents have always been absolutely. Do you know what it is? I wish I could do accents. This is the true fact of all true facts, right? You can take the girl out of Burnley, but you can't take the Burnley out of the girl. Right? I cannot be anything else but from Burnley. I've lived in Manchester for 5 years. When I was 16 to 21, I lived in Manchester. And I did start talking a bit more like a mank, apparently, as people would say. But I can't do an impression of it. But I've had a lot of Scottish friends, funnily enough, who I've been on the sesh with for many years. A lot of Scouse mates, and Manx, and then Burnley and Col. You know what I mean? And that's it. Yeah. So, and all four are distinctive. Like you say, when you're on the sesh or when you're all together, it absolutely goes mental. Yeah. And it's funny that, because I can understand, like, if somebody is talking really fast, or Scottish is quite a strong accent to,
Yeah.
But I like it, don't get me wrong, I sound common, I sound, I sound common, I sound working class, but I am common and I am working class. Yeah. But, and maybe for years I tried to pretend that I wasn't, but now there is absolutely there's nowhere else that I feel more at home than the north of England.
Yeah.
And Blackpool, funnily enough, even though there's the obvious differences, the tower, the sea, and the coastal life, the people are the same.
Yeah.
The people are the same. There's a lot of grim stuff, there's a lot of dark stuff. Yeah. But I think that's why I've ended up slotting in over here. It is. Do you not think it's like that?
Yeah, 100%. Well, that'll lead me on to the next week, because I've got a few questions, but that'll lead me on to one. Yeah, so what does Blackpool mean to you? Just give us a description. What it first meant to you and what it means today to you.
So this is actually, I think it's a real meaningful part of my story. So being from Burnley, it's a concrete jungle, it's a town, obviously a mining town, all that kind of stuff, yeah. So there was the session I liked and got involved in and addicted to was bedrooms with, houses, back gardens, backyard, just everybody
Kitchens.
with just kitchen sesh, There's even CDs called kitchen sesh, volume 1, 2, whatever, you know what I mean? There's CDs now what I still get from people who I know who are now, don't get me, I want to say famous, I mean famous like now in Blackpool and things like that, but all these bounds, DJs and MCs, listen, I've known them since I was a teenager in people's bedrooms on the mic. But obviously, you get a bit older. Then I moved to Manchester when I was 16. So I saw a bit of a city kind of existence. And there was, again, I only went to like underground clubs and dark and dismal stuff and, bowlers, things like that. Yeah. So it's just on a lot bigger scale. So I got a taster, is what I'm saying, for the party lifestyle, better than just somebody's house. You know what I mean? In some ratty little club. And that's where Blackpool came in. So I don't know where it all started. Was it the Sanctuary or Flamingos? I think it was before that though. What was that one with a revolving dance? I can't even remember.
It wasn't my scene.
But it used to come over here. So Blackpool has been a guilty pleasure for me for a good 2 decades of my using, my life. I absolutely fell in love with the tackiness of it, the novelty of it, the silliness of it. Just, you come over here, anything goes. Yeah, there's nothing in Blackpool that hasn't been done before. You might think it, but it's a load of shit. So I don't know what the swearing policy is.
Yeah, it's fine. It's entirely up to you. Yeah.
So Blackpool was always, I loved it for the seediness, the novelty, the darkness, the tackiness, yeah. And that's how it always was, but I never lived it. I used to come and go back. I'd always go missing an AWOL. I'd be AWOL in Blackpool. That's exactly what happened. If I was missing from my hometown or from wherever I was living at the time, or I hadn't shown in work, everyone goes, I bet she's in Blackpool. Before Facebook was about, so people could find out. And then obviously moving here, oh my God, it was a fifth. Do you know what? I was in rehab this time in St Anne's.
Yeah.
So I'd never been to St Anne's before. Never once been, and it's like fairly posh compared. It's just 10 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
But it's fairly posh compared. It's completely different. But whilst I was in rehab, it was when lockdown happened, the first one. So I went from being in rehab, normal existence, outside, Next minute, it was like a ghost town. So when I moved to Blackpool, it was after that. So it was during the lockdown, yeah. So I moved, so I left rehab in June 2020. And the options for recovery housing for me, what was organised by the rehab, was Preston, Chorley and Blackpool. And I'd lived in Preston and Chorley and it caused absolute carnage. Preston was the worst year of my life. My last year of using, the worst year of my life, but I'm sure we'll talk about that probably later.
Yeah.
But Blackpool, so out of the 3, Blackpool was the only option what was I could consider, which to anyone who knew me, they'd said, you're taking the piss, you're going on the set, you're just doing it, anyway. It was a risk, and if I'm being completely honest, I was scared and I thought, what am I even doing here? What's happening? What am I doing? But it was either, this or back to my hometown, which again was suicide. Yeah. Suicide, just as much as it would have been to Preston or Chorley. So in the end, I came because everyone said the recovery community over here was absolutely phenomenal, and it has been, and it's what's kept me sober. And I think, do you know what? On a selfish note, because it was locked down, nothing was open. There was no temptation. There was none of my, big fish, little fish, cardboard box people, or whatever. Showing the age now. But yeah, because none of that was happening, none of it was open. No temptation was on my, doorstep. It enabled me to get to know people in the recovery community just by walking and talking and having brews outside, people's houses, kind of thing. Just meeting up on the beach, and just doing all that kind of stuff. So I genuinely got to know people. We was having meetings outside, the fellowship meetings, and I'd never encountered anything like that before. So on a very, very selfish thing, it's really, really saved me, bit lockdown happening, because it enabled me to get to know Blackpool without all that nonsense what I knew before, and actually it's made me stay. And then people, when everything has opened, I've been prepared for it and I've been ready for it. You get what I mean? So
exactly. Mine was similar, but I didn't stay clean. I had the same experience with Preston. Everything was shut down. It was nice going for walks. So again, it's mad, isn't it? The lockdown's done me well. That's a question I like. So in lockdown, I was forced to sit with myself, which I couldn't really do. It was kind of find it common. So have you got an identity? Have you found your identity? Are you still looking?
No, do you know what? It's one of them things like so I was in rehab for 6 months, and part of the middle sort of like tier of it, if you will, is all about the here and now and about the whole person, about the you know what I mean, the internal you, all that stuff. So you talk about all this stuff, and I honestly, this is where, because I was in recovery 10 years ago. I went to rehab again, but both rehabs I've been to have been choice theory. They've not been 12 steps. And it's been a therapeutic community, TC they call it, don't they? But it's been really, really fascinating, and it has been academically, educational. I've learned loads of stuff about, just addiction, recovery, myself. I've done loads of pieces of work on myself. But the first rehab and the second, you do similar pieces of work. It's just that the first one was 9 months, second one was 6 months. But the first time, I honestly did not know who I was and didn't know who I was going to be, and I tried to be something completely different, which was one of many reasons why I picked up, is the point, So this time, I felt the same thing happening though, I thought, I'm not going to be funny, there's going to be nothing funny, I'm going to be a complete boring geek, who am I, that kind of thing. And whilst I was panicking about all that and probably looking too hard to try different things, because that's what I did do at first, even to the point of, subjects to talk about whilst I was still in treatment and then fresh out, what I've actually found is I am the same person without the bad behaviours, and that's the truth. I still like the same kinds of programmes, I still love the same music, but I'm a lot more open-minded to new music, because I've always liked, drum and bass, bounce, dance, but I also like, indie music and things like that. I still like all that kind of stuff. Anything with a kick, anything with a bit of art and a bounce to it, chasing status, all that kind of stuff. Probably just promoting stuff now, aren't I?
You can do that,
yeah. No, but this is it. This is the truth. I thought, what am I going to do? That's not to say I could listen to the same music at first. It used to make me have such a euphoric recall, and I'd be crying and crying and crying, listening to my favourite songs, thinking, well, what's this about? But that's the fact. I think with time and perseverance, I'm still the same person. I still like the same things. I still find the same things offensive. I still find the same things like, I really don't like injustice. I still do, I've never have. As a kid, honestly, I don't know why this is coming to me weird to say, but as a kid I used to find all kinds of things, injustice, and I used to campaign and, do all kinds of weird stuff. Even, this is talking about when I was 11, I was going to visit old people who were veterans, on my dinner time, what was the thing through school, because it was unfair that they was lonely, so what I'm trying to say is all the things what I've always felt was wrong, and the things I've liked and enjoyed, besides the sesh, of course, I still find, I still like and I still enjoy and I still find funny. I still don't like people who are arrogant, I still don't like, and this is not me judging anyone, this is a behaviour we're talking about now, isn't it? Arrogant behaviour, people who think they are better than somebody else, all that unfairness. So my identity is still the same. I'm just working still, is the truth, on self-esteem and building up self-confidence and things like that, because that's the stuff what gets smashed out here when you use it, because you're just dulling everything off, aren't you? You're not feeling anything what's real. It's all false chemicals, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's the stuff I'm still working on, is self-esteem. I still don't feel completely worthy of everything what I've got back, but I've got much more. So I think that's the end of that answer.
Yeah, Sandra, you're right, I'm identifying with you all the way through. So this is a question that's relevant to me. Cool. So in my addiction, there was labels said on me, people who knew me nearest and dearest, there were labels put on me like selfish, like didn't give a shit. There was a few things that didn't apply to me, so it's like, you don't even know me. Did you have any things that were your identity and addiction?
Oh my God,
it was awful, wasn't it? Yeah, I'm still getting over that.
The major thing what comes to mind, and it still makes me feel, it basically makes me feel uncomfortable right here right now thinking about it, so it's obviously the first thing to mention. It's nicknames. Now we've all had funny nicknames. I love nicknames. I still buzz off nicknames. Now people for years used to call me Mad Leanne, Mental Leanne. That didn't bother me. Honestly, it didn't bother me. I fed into it. I fed into that, woo! You know what I mean? Sleeping's cheating. I'll sleep when I'm dead. Kind of thing. But all of a sudden, after when the addiction full on took over of stimulant drug substances, basically. I mean, it was loads of stuff, but always booze, always amphetamines mainly, and millions of other things, to, you know, on top, pills, whatever. But it was mainly, you know, the stimulants, yeah. So that means that equals days and days and days away.
Yeah.
Now, the nickname what stuck, and I ended up getting called it by people's kids, you know, like little Asbo kids. You know, they used to call me Scatty Leanne, basically. You know, they used to call me Scatty Leanne.
Yeah.
And I used to have arguments with people about, you know, even buying dictionaries from pound shop and highlighting scatterbrain and saying that's not me, you know what I mean? And it was like, yes it is. And these little kids, you know, there was Asbo kids, and they used to, I don't know why I'm saying this, but I'm telling it.
Yeah.
They used to do a little, like a train down, you know, down somewhere in their hometown, going singing, she's a scat man. I used to send me insane because obviously people had told him to do it. And anyway, the point is, I used to argue like absolute, you know, black is white, that I wasn't scatty, and you know, all that kind of stuff. But it really was the truth, because obviously what your head, scatterbrain basically means, doesn't it, that your head's in bits, your head's all over the place. Yeah. You know, it's in bits and pieces. You know, and it's true, because that is exactly what happened. I didn't know what day it was, you know, and my family though even, you know, started. My dad said, like, talking to me, he's like talking, you know, like a jigsaw puzzle with all the pieces not quite there, you know what I mean? And I was like, my dad's even calling me Scatty, what's going on? So all that was a horrible stigma. I know it was just meant in fun and jest, like, you know, listen, some people have worse nicknames than that, man. That was, you know, it was poor for them, like. But I can't, it's kind of a thing, because thinking about it though as well, it's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. It's proper embarrassing. What an embarrassing thing to be. You know, and obviously the obvious ones are, you are self-centered, you are selfish, you are, you know, lazy, you know, boring, all that kind of stuff. But you don't think that you are, because what you're doing on a minute-to-minute basis is no concern of anybody else's. You think at that time,
yeah,
you
exactly,
just think it's all about you, and I'm doing what I want to do now, and you know, and it's a sad carry on, like, but like, and you know, and also my dad, hey, listen, he's got some pearls of wisdom about my dad, like, but he said to me eventually, he goes, you started taking this thing for a social reason, yeah. He said it's made you antisocial, and I again, that was the other thing. So being scatty and being antisocial were two things where I protested. I was the life and soul of the party. I was the social butterfly, yeah? And I was clued in. You know, listen, I've got 3 A levels. I've got, you know, in psychology, English, sociology. You know, so for somebody to say to me that I was scatterbrained and also that I was antisocial was horrifying. Yeah. But obviously, when I look back, when you sat in your own house or flat or somebody else's because you haven't got anywhere to live anymore, you know, twitching at curtains and not doing anything but staying there, just taking drugs and drinking, that is like the definition, I'd say, of antisocial. So, Old Man River, aka Pops, yeah, me dad's onto something there.
I don't want to.
He's like, ah.
Yeah, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I've got one. I've got a nickname that people don't know me. But pickle, man was no one's had a scar black house pickle, but some people they'd say it and it strikes a chord, doesn't it? I think that's what it is when it rings true. Yeah, I like that. When it rings true, it stings, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course it does. It proper stings.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about me. That's for another day. Right, I want to go back to the little girl. So we'll start by saying, because I've done a lot of work on this. And I've got my own theory on it, but I know we're all different. Was you born, or did you develop into an addict? You do identify as an addict, I want to clear up.
Oh, listen, like 1,000,000% right here, right now, through the camera, and because you know me anyway. But yeah. Absolutely, 100%, I am an addict. I'm an addict in recovery now, so I'm not currently using, obviously, but I now fully accept and understand that. You know, my first recovery 10 years ago, like I say, one of many reasons, again, another, you know, what I didn't identify as an addict. I thought I just made a load of wrong decisions and choices, you know what I mean, and got in with a bad crowd and, you know, maybe not handled it correctly and all that kind of stuff. I didn't really want to talk about it again after I'd been in treatment. I'm fixed now, I'm done, it's over, I'll never use again, it doesn't matter, you know, that's not me, kind of thing. And what a pile of absolute shit that is. You know, so back to the nature nurture thing is what you're on about,
yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, do you know what? I honestly don't. I think it is and this is like that choice and disease debate, and the nurture thing. I honestly think it's a bit of both. I really do. I think there are some people born with certain chemicals, you know, different to others, but it obviously has to be an action what you put in to get to the level of addiction. Yeah, so I could have been born an addict but never picked up a substance, but like for instance, as a kid, my behaviours was probably I'll just describe them, yeah? So as a kid, I was absolutely hypersensitive. I don't mean crying sensitive, I mean like, I noticed everything, you know. Probably you could call that fear-based, I don't know, but I noticed everything, and I was always, you know, moving things and high like level of OCD, you know, obsessive compulsive disorder. Everything had to be in a place, you know, and I was constantly checking it and moving it, and you know, if it wasn't, I felt on edge. You know, both my parents are drinkers, they're still together, they're still alive, they're still drinkers, they've always gone to work and to sleep. They aren't, I mean, you could call them functioning alcoholics, they'll even say that they are, but they've always behaved with it, and they've never been locked up, they've never been in any shit, they've never been in hospital for it, you know, so they're not the same as me, but that's it. So growing up, there was drink all around. The family are all drinkers. They're all drinkers. Yeah, there's only me and two cousins who went down the narcotic road. And one of them's died. Other one's in jail for a long time. So we'll leave them two alone out the story. But there's only us three. Don't get me wrong. Most of the cousins had a bit of a mess about with it. But really, there's only three of us who's fully got on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And theirs was a different drug to my drug of choice.
Yeah.
So as a kid though, so there's drink all around, there's parties all around, there was noise everywhere, there was conflict everywhere. I was always on one, just tidying up, moving things, doing stuff, checking up my brother who was a year younger than me. Sorry, still is obviously. Brother's a year younger. I've got a sister who's 12 years younger, but obviously she didn't grow up with us. So me and Reese was, you know, I was always making sure he was all right and he was asleep. But I had a lot of I had one wall full of newspaper clippings of mad stories, what I found injustice, you know.
Yeah.
Mad stories, you know, and kids going missing, or this thing happening, that thing happening. And I've had them all on one wall, so I've got another wall with flyers on. I had another wall with fit dudes on. You know, and that kind of thing. So we've got fit dudes, raves, and loads of like crazy dead stories from the newspaper, yeah. So is that normal? I don't know. You could say it's very obsessive and you know, addictive, because everything had to be in its place, and you know, and there was. So I was always a little bit off key like that, and conversations was always a bit weird, you know. But was I destined to drink? Definitely destined to try a drink because of the family. But I'll be honest with you, I didn't like it. Didn't like it one bit. It made me sick, you know. I didn't like being out of control, that kind of thing. So it didn't really take for a while. It was only when I was 15, 16, just before my 16th birthday, when I was glass collecting in a pub, and ended up, the people who worked there, let's just make sure I don't say their names. The people who worked there, you know, dealt in a bit of stuff. So I was having probably a couple of quid's worth of amphetamines in a drink. Now the combination of that at that time, whatever the reasons, so what we're saying is, I put action in to take it. I could have said no, I didn't. The feeling it gave me, instantly, like an instant, like absolute dream. You know, I want to feel like this all the time. So it just calmed all my head down. It calmed all that OCD stuff down. It calmed all that think down. Calmed it right down. But I was awake and I felt confident, and you know, I was you know, getting attention, and you know, so the sad fact is, I honestly think it's a bit of both. You know, I had all these mad behaviours, which is what the disease concept talks about, doesn't it? You know, a disease of the mind. It was hard graft, that kind of level of thinking, man. It was really scary. I was always doing stuff, super doing things to wall, like putting bits of paper out. They used to call me Snick the Paper Cutter. Well, that's one of many nicknames.
Reminds me of Beautiful Mind. Have you seen that?
Honestly, it's all that mad stuff. But the second I got onto the amphetamines, like we mixed with drink though, because the drink took the edge off in order to make me want to do it, and the whiz like just levelled my head out. I'm telling you now, it did. So at that time, that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to feel like that all the time. Constantly, I wanted to change the way I felt, and in all honesty, I started to do whatever I needed to do to get the funds for that. Now, for years it meant legal working, you know, but yeah, so I think it's a bit of both. If I hadn't picked up a substance at that age, then maybe I'd have got into other behaviours. You don't know, because it's definitely behaviours. What we're talking about. That's the addict, and it's the behaviours and his mindset. You know, so I was definitely destined to do something weird.
Yeah. So again, I have obsessive tendencies, and I'm greedy. I use this to satisfy my greed, whatever that be. It can be that. It can be that. It can be that. Pardon my French. But I've done it so excessively where I end up round the bend. So I've loved that. Right, I want to move on. So what was there any trauma? I'm just doing this. I'm not saying there is. Was there any like events that really affected you growing up early on?
Oh,
that's the other side of the debate, isn't it?
Yeah, listen. So I won't go into too much detail because I don't really want to talk about my family's events, like. But long and short is there was nothing. Let's just spit it out. There was nothing. There was no sexual trauma as a kid or anything like that. There was family drama and trauma and real like heartache and fear-based stuff. Just basically, you know, massive split and divide, and you know, to the point where it was on the front page of the papers and all that, and that's more or less at the same time as I started getting into the happy drugs, you know what I mean? The happy chemicals.
Party drugs.
And you know, I moved to Wythenshawe when I was 16, nearly 17, in Manchester to see a bit of the big city. Some lad I met at a rave, like, you know what I mean, like you do. I started to see a bit more of the dark kind of existence of life. Not my stuff. This weren't my stuff at that point. It was other people's stuff around me, which definitely affected me. You know, I'm talking about people getting like kidnapped and, you know, people owed money, all that kind of stuff. It wasn't anything to do with me whatsoever. But I was living with a guy in a high-rise flat who all these mates, you know what I mean, that kind of stuff. But it was when I came back when I was 21 from Manchester, because I'd had enough of all that and the people, and I'd outgrown a relationship. Let's just leave that at that. It was at that point. So from 21, so I've come back. That's you're an adult. 21 is not a kid. You're not going to get excuses for behaviour. People aren't going to think it's cute or, you know, funny or whatever. You're 21. You're a full-blown adult. So I've come back from Manchester though, estranged from a lot of the family because of stuff that had gone on. Like I said, one of the reasons I ran away. So I didn't have that kind of belonging. All the friends who I'd gone to school with had all grown up a little bit together or moved away, or they had relationships, kids. I wasn't, so I was on the outside looking in. So I felt like an outsider in my hometown. So I obviously had come back with a massive drug addiction as well, and with that I obviously carried it on and got more into like loads of mad prescription drugs, and MDMA at the time was about where they are, all that kind of stuff, bubble. Talking 21 years ago now, so it's at that time though that again, I'm not going to go into details, but there was a lot of sexual violence. Let's just leave it at that. I'm not saying domestic violence. I'm not saying a relationship. I'm saying with people who I ended up meeting on the sesh, and things happened what should not have happened. Which it didn't affect me at the time, or I didn't think it did, because we got off my cake, and I always had injuries though. I had broken bones, I had black eyes, I had my nose broke twice, you know, all kinds of weird stuff. Nearly got choked to death and strangled in my sleep and things like that. So we're talking about things what got out of hand, and at the time I just thought, well, it's my own fault for, you know, being off my cake and, you know, not stopping it at the time, but whatever. And I still think kind of that as well, you know, none of these things would have happened if we hadn't have been a fucking absolute raging drug addict at the time, like, and just trying to drown out any kind of emptiness and loneliness and all that. So you're surrounding yourself with people, but they're not always the right people or the good people. And I'm not saying my behaviour was amazing, let's face it, I did definitely do a few things that I shouldn't have done and slept with a few people I shouldn't when it wasn't violent, you know. But the after effects of that definitely started to show, and you know, with the many days and days and days awake, and you know, you're talking into my 30s, early 30s, just before I went to rehab the first time, there was a lot of psychosis, a lot of like absolute horror situations and night terrors and all kinds of stuff where even an intimacy with people, you know, was never going to happen, because I'm expecting everybody to be like other people, you know, and So it started to affect me. I think it started, you could say probably at that point, this is funnily enough when everyone started to call me Scotty Leanne, but it kind of started to come away at the seams, I think, my psyche at that point, you know, because you're trying to like cover up all this fear and fear and fear and fear. Meanwhile, you know, job losses, this, that, the other, car crashes,
life stuff,
you know, life stuff, families, you know, deaths in the family, you know, like one of my cousins, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But every single person who I got a false belonging with the drug scene and all that, I was also in fear of, because, you know, I'd been like stabbed in the back loads of times. Don't get me wrong, you know, again, please don't think my behaviour was fucking like perfect, but there was a lot of scary situations where, you know, I really didn't think I was going to live. Yeah. So that's the kind of trauma I've suffered. It's an adult though, you know, it's not as a kid.
Yeah.
There was a lot of, you know, listen, my family are crackers. I'm just going to say this, my family are crackers, but they've had nothing but love and tried to do the best, and that is the truth. Yeah. I just did not appreciate that
at the time.
Many years.
Yeah. I just want to speak to camera. So anyone who's new around watching this, especially the female variety, anyone really, Leanne can speak this way, and I've not spoke to this about Leanne. This is the first time, but she can speak in this way because she's done work around it. So things are possible, and like she wants to state, she has got a part. By doing this stuff, you see your part. And that's what it's about, and then drawing a line and moving on. So I want to thank that for Leanne, that really helped people. So again, let's have a little bit of a laugh. So what's your track record with the opposite sex then? Let's sum up what life's been like. I only say this because mine's shocking.
Listen,
I'm just thinking if someone asked me this question.
Listen, I'm not bothered on me, you know. So in a nutshell, probably, you know, one of many things probably being from Burnley, but saying that, listen, there's loads of normal women in Burnley, so let's not slay Burnley completely. There's loads of normal kind of women. I've always wanted to be, this is the truth, because I have done a lot of work on this and analysed this today. So I've always wanted to be one of the lads, and that's kind of one of the masks I've played in addiction. Yeah. Because with that, so males I've found, obviously as a female, heterosexual female, knocking about with lads, you get to look at all the lads, because, you know, obviously that's what I'm attracted to. Lads are easy to get seshed up with, in my opinion. Most of the lads, you know, again, this is not now, this is in the past, track record we're talking about, So, and again, I didn't think about this all the years over, but lads was always easier for me to get seshed up with, because you had a laugh, it wasn't there was no competition, you know what I mean? So there's me, loads of lads, no competition, you just no complications, you're just getting messy, all that. Of course, that stops you getting asked out a lot by other lads, because you're always with these lads, and you know that's a no-go area kind of thing. You know, you've got to be a super Charlie Big Spuds kind of lad to come and chat somebody up who's with 8 other dudes, and, you know, all that kind of stuff, ain't you? So that kind of was a bit of a, you know, a no-win situation. Also, what obviously starts to happen is, because you're not getting it anywhere else, and the lads, birds end up, you know, I don't know. So I've ended up basically, my track record's been this. I've slept with loads of my mates for years and years and years of saying, no, we're not going to do it, it's not going to happen. And we have, and it's ruined the friendship. So, you know, I've only ever had one serious relationship for 5 years, which was the guy in Wivenshaw. But I met him at a rave when all this shit were going on at home with family. So he could say, and he was older than me, he was 8 years older than me. He didn't hurt me anywhere, anything like that. It was just, it served a purpose. This sounds like a tight way to put it, but before that I'd messed about, you know, explored. Yeah. Met him like when I was 16, like I say. I was with him till I was 21. He was a sound, decent enough lad, but he wanted to settle down. I did not. End of story. I outgrew him. But apart from him, I've literally played the field. I've been with absolute. Listen, I'm not even worried about saying it. You know, I stopped counting at triple digits, mate. You know what I mean? Because that was part of the addiction, though. It was part of the addiction. It is part
fixing yourself, isn't it?
Listen, I'll tell you what it is. It's stimulant drug addiction. You don't get talked about enough, because because we're not supposed to specify the thing, but this is obviously about me.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
stimulant drug addiction, it's a heightened state of, you know, pleasure and things like that.
Arousal,
Yeah, of course it is. So you feel confident, you feel on fire, you feel like, you know, you're bouncing with people, you're having a laugh. You're easily aroused because, you know, somebody only has to say something funny and you've got you. So like normally that connection takes a while to get there, maybe, you know. Yeah. It doesn't when you're off your cake. And also, you're not actually that picky, let's face it. You're not that picky when you're off your cake. It's a feel-good factor. It's part of the addiction. It is, though, isn't it? Yeah. That used to be part of my thing. Go out, get messy, get fucked up, get fucked some more, and then go fucking somewhere else because you've had enough of them people. Yeah, you go mental. So, you know, and I'm laughing about it. And
I just want to say,
it has been funny. My life, I've met some decent lads. I was nowhere near in a state to get with, and you know, I've met some lads who've said to me, "You're absolutely great fun, but you're not girlfriend material." I've met some lads who've wanted me to calm down, and you know, I've had a couple of marriage proposals after 3 days away. Now that was fun. Trying to get married? No, really not, mate. You're a great the fucking what you're talking about. So you know, there's been some really sad. No, but on a serious note, there's been some serious people.
Yeah.
What in another lifetime probably would have worked, It hasn't, because addiction was my love. And this is actually, it's a sad thing to say, but it's true. I've never been in love, even the dude of 5 years, I loved him, he was good to spend time with and he looked after me kind of thing, you know, at the time. But there was not love there, I don't even know what that is. I was in love with alcohol and drugs. I was in love with the sesh. I have been in love with the sesh most of my life. And it's very sad, probably to admit, but it's the truth. Nothing else has come close. There's been nowhere near anybody come close. You know, I've had people looking, you know, honest to God, I've arranged parties and I've come back to a candlelit dinner, you know, and I've been going absolutely psychotic. The fact that the peeps aren't there, where's my peeps, where's my drugs, where's my party, where's my people? And they're like, well, I just want to sit down and spend some time with my bird. I'm like, yeah, we're done.
Next.
So my track record it's been really good fun, and I'll never match some of the euphoric like sexual experiences I'm guessing, and that's just the truth. But I guess that is what it's about as well, you know. I'm not looking for the same, you know, it's about getting to know a person and actually being with a person, I guess. We've had conversations like this all the time. I don't know what that intimacy is, I really don't know. It's a baffler.
Well, again, you are me in the skate. I realised we were very similar, but I'm seeing it. So, like, for me, all I want to do is sail off into the sunset. I just want one relationship that's perfect, that we have everything and we see.
Just so everyone's clear, we're not the same. That's not me.
No, but like, so I don't know what that entails. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want. But it's, again, I'm this old romantic, but I've never practiced it. It's mad. Do
you know what? But it's like, in a way, right, this is the mad thing when I ask me a lot. So, you could say that we're quite traditional, but I just don't know how to. I don't know how that looks for me. I don't know how that looks like to me. Because like, my mum and dad have been married. Listen, they've been married. They're crackers. They're crackers. They have been married 40.
Wow.
3 years or something like that, but they're opposites. You know, my mum was a mom, my dad was a rocker, and anyway, they've absolutely gone. They want to kill each other most days now, like, but they're still together. And honestly, and I think in a lot of ways, I've looked at them over the years and thought, who the fuck puts up with that shit? You know what I mean? They're not normal. But then actually, on the other thing, I think I'm absolutely in awe of them because they've been traditional. They've got married. They've said it's till death do us part. They could have split up loads of times and wanted to, you know. I'm bearing in mind having the oldest kid who's sat awake at nights when I was a kid, listening to every single argument and, you know, think what they said. But they've not done that because it's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to fucking just deal with it and get through it. So I think really, I look at them and think, I'm never going to have that. It's never going to be. That's too scary. And then obviously there's addiction and the behaviours. But I think deep down that's what I want though as well. You know, some kind of traditional like.
I'm just seeing sunsets and palm trees and honeymoons.
Listen, I won't go that far, but I'm seeing, flamingos, Blackpool, No, but I do actually, deep down, one day, some kind of person who can be, I don't know, a long-term companion.
Best friend first,
friend, you know, that, so yeah, you know.
Nice food, just a companion.
But my track record is nothing the same as that.
Yeah, definitely have.
We're running away from something, we don't even know what it looks like, mate, we don't know.
Run away from the edge. I've got a subject, So, what's your experience in sober sex? That's a mad one for me, that.
I'm definitely not saying loads on this because
yeah,
the people...
you can move on if you want.
No, listen, I'm just going to... Because there will be people who fucking watch this. Put it this way, there's literally been 3 people since I've been sober, yeah, and that's 2.5 years. And that's because it's fucking frightening. It's not the same, because I don't know what that, because all the way through all these triple digits and all this mad fucking chemical infused sex, what we've been talking about, you're not attached to feelings, you're not attached to emotions, you're not attached to thinking about it.
Yeah.
You're doing it, you're serving a purpose, you're getting what you came for, literally. But it's nothing like that sober.
Yeah.
Sorry, in my experience, it's been nothing like that. You know, both the first time, basically, yeah, absolutely like the guy, but I absolutely was not ready to be like any kind of like intimacy afterwards. And you know, I think it was both early, and so it was like, listen, let's just remain friends, you know, and we have, and that's it.
Yeah.
After that, do you know what I've found, me? And this is the truth. This is the bit where I'll say it. I find that I fancy people, but I don't fucking like them. No, that sounds horrible. But I think people are fit as fuck. Let's just have it out, right? So I think there's some people I really, really am attracted to, yeah, and I think they're fit as fuck. But I don't particularly like them. And so there's a massive blockage there. You know, I just think, oh, fuck off, you know, that kind of thing. I think there's people who I absolutely click with and get on with really well. Notice I'm looking right directly into the camera. I proper click with them and I think they sound and I feel comfortable with them, but I do not fancy them one bit. They're more like a brother or a family. I don't know. I'm not that looked at it like that. I just don't fancy them. I think, who knows? No. But then there's other people who I think are fit, but they're not the same level of energy, so it makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't know. So, do you know what I think? This is what people talk about, don't they? This kind of stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we started taking drugs at a young age, and addiction started like 14, 15, 16, whatever. Them kinds of emotions, I like to think we're a bit older in emotions than that age, but you we've never experienced, you know, relationships, intimacy like a normal person. So now we're experiencing that, and it feels too weird. I'll be honest with you, I want to swerve all that intimacy stuff. I want to swerve,
I love it.
I want to swerve all that stuff. No, I hate it with a passion. The thought of like the game, chasing people, all that kind of
wine and dine.
Oh my God, no,
wine.
absolutely not. Not a million years. No, I don't like it. I don't like the idea of it. But again, is it because I've never had it? Is it because I don't know it? Honest to God, so was at this, I'll just say event the other week, and some lad who's from my area, that's all I'm going to say, you know, I don't really know him, years ago I did. He sort of like, you know, was giving me a compliment, and he said, he said, you're an absolute special kind of, because your energy's absolutely brilliant and this and that, and he said, I can't, because, you know, I'm with someone kind of thing. He said, but you're making me defects come out, and and he basically just said something, and I felt, honest to God, it was something cheeky. No, it wasn't, you know, listen, nothing happened, it definitely didn't, or he's going to. He said, I just want you to know, he goes, you know, I'm not even going to say what he said, but it was basically giving me a compliment, and do you know what I mean, trying to make me feel good, but I felt absolutely well embarrassed. I just went right ready, goes, and it wasn't, listen, the lights weren't even on, it was on like, you know, some mad lighting in this thing, in the old electric, and he goes, he said, you've gone red now, and I thought, okay, I must have gone ready for lights, you know what I mean? So,
glowing.
So what I'm saying is, when it comes to all that, I am still learning, me. Absolutely still learning.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it at the minute, but it is. But I'll get on needy and
insecure. Learning.
No, learning. I'm like in that department, learning in that department.
Yeah, I think we shouldn't rush it. You know what we shouldn't do? That instead of looking for people and trying to get them to fit the pigeonhole what we think that we want them to be, who the fuck knows what we want? I think we don't do that. I think we just wait for a feeling.
It's easier said than done, though, isn't it?
Of course it is. Listen, I'm just saying those are wisdom. I'm not saying that they apply.
So, right. This could be a taboo subject, I'm just realising. So I know, and I'll just talk for a little bit. I know you've got nieces and nephews. What's your experience of like your own children, or have you got any experience?
Oh, listen, this is the honest to God's truth. This is the honest to God's truth. I've never ever wanted kids. I've never, and as a kid, you know, this is maybe, you know, again, this is maybe part of that nature and nurture thing. I don't know. I had a bit of a funny relationship with my own mother, and it was, you know, she didn't want kids, but then she got married to my dad, and he did. I don't know, but I never, ever wanted kids, and I've never wanted to get married. I remember, you know, like when you was at school and you used to play little games about somebody would play the wife and the bride, sorry, and, and I always used to be the narrator, or somebody who was like throwing stuff, you know, like the joke. I always used to play the jester, the narrator. Somebody was like, you know, boosting up, just getting everybody dancing. All the plays, you know, even in all the school plays, I never played like, you know, the princess and all that. I didn't want to. It was never my thing. I never wanted to get married or have kids, and I always said though, especially with this guy who I was with for 5 years, because he did, and I said to him at the start, well, it's not for me, but I'm open to your mind being changed.
Yeah.
And in all fairness, it never has been. But again, I've been in addiction for 24 years, so it wasn't the right time to bring kids into the world, was it? Let's face it. And again, marriage proposals aside, and many times people saying to me, see, this is what I think is a strong point. I've never wanted them. I've never been pregnant. I've never been caught out. I made sure I went to them doctor's appointments to get you know, contraceptions and all that kind of stuff. Like, won't bore people with that story, but I did, because I didn't want to get caught out. And you know, and promiscuity is the word.
Yeah,
promiscuity aside, all these, you know, triple figures, like, I still managed to never get pregnant because you know, it wasn't fair. But many people said to me over years, have a kid, it'll sort your head out. And I used to think, how's that fair on the kid? Like? You know, and this is me talking about my story here, not anybody else, so nobody start getting offended about anything what I'm saying here. For me personally, I did not want, let's face it, I didn't want to stop the sex. I did not want to stop getting obsessed up. Let's face it, that's the truth, I didn't. And more honestly, it was an absolute petrifying feeling as well. What happens if I do meet somebody? What if I do get pregnant? What would I do? You know, because that sort of thing has crossed my mind. What happens if I get pregnant? What am I going to do? I'd have to stop all this, and you know, because let's face it, all the people I've slept with, we haven't been right for each other. I've been completely messy and off my cake, or they have, or we both have, or I've been getting choked to death in my sleep. Well, that's not exactly what you want in your life. So it's never been my thing yet, and I've seen you know what else as well, I've seen so many other people who have kids and try their best, and no matter, so there's this side of it, there's people who have kids and they try their best and shit still happens and goes wrong, and there's heartbreak. There's people who maybe don't always try their best. There's people who can't, and they're incapable because of this disease and other reasons, you know, there's many reasons in there. So this is, again, not me judging anyone. I'm just saying, I've seen a lot of people get their kids took off them. Fair enough, a lot have got them back in recovery, but I didn't know these people in addiction. You know, I'm talking about all my life. Yeah. I've been there at people's houses where I have even been a registered person taking people to school, people's kids to school, because I had a legal job, a legitimate job, and a legal license and all that. Yeah. I was responsible for taking other people's kids to school at one point. And I used to think, how am I doing this? I'm off my cake, right? You know, this is now not funny. But in the end, bad things happened, and things, you know, they got them removed, and that them people I was friends with, some of them I see about now, you know, again, and we've all made peace with each other, but it was so heart-wrenching and destructive, like, and I think all them things what I saw, I just thought, I'm not going through that, man. I'd rather just take a bullet to my brain or stay on the sesh. So I stayed on the sesh. Yeah. So like now, I'm 42, I'm nearly 43 next month. I think the ship sailed, mate, you know what I mean, literally, but it doesn't bother me, I'm not sat here thinking, the final bit to say on it is, I am not sat here thinking, oh my God, I wish I'd have done things different, I wish I'd have met Mr. Right and, you know, all that. I'm safe, no, none of that shit's going down. I probably am missing out on, you know, the best feeling in the world, I guess, you know, the unconditional love side of it, but I've still got a really good relationship, I've got it back with my own parents. My dad specifically has been an absolute ledge. And that's maybe another reason I didn't want kids, by the way, because the shit he has been through for me is, oh, listen, this dude is stressed to death. Absolutely, he deserves to live abroad forever. You know, listen, the dude has been stressed. He has pulled me out of the brink many times. He's pulled me out of parties, and anyway, we won't talk about it. But, so maybe that's the other reason as well. I thought, whoa, he's never got a minute's peace, like. But because I've got 2 nephews who are 9 and 12, and honest to God, absolutely cute. They're so innocent and cute. And the 9-year-old, you know, when he was 7 is when I started being allowed back to, you know, attempt talking to him again and things like that. So you're talking 7-year-old, and the first thing he said to me was, "Are you still being naughty, Auntie Leanne?" And I goes, "Is that because I said, do you want to ask me anything?" And he goes, "Yeah." Anyway. Are you still being naughty? I goes, "Who's told you that?" He goes, "Me dad." And I thought, I bet he has. Well, no, but he had the right to, you know what I mean? My brother's a year younger, he's been through the mill as well. But the cuteness of it and the love and he's always touching me, he's always giving me, you know, squeezing me, and he's like, "Oh, Auntie Leanne, you know, yes, and you're still being good, you know, because I can come to your house if you're being good," my dad says, "and you know, you can come and sleep at my house," and you know, that kind of thing. We went looking for curlews. I don't know if anybody knows what curlews are, by the way. I didn't until 2 weeks ago. So we've got these binoculars and little sticks and up Colne, in some field up Colne, looking for these curlews, right? And I'm thinking, wow, this is absolutely amazing. I'm being allowed to spend time with my nephew, looking for birds in a field. You know, let's face it, I used to do much dodgier things in field. Yeah, get him in. But that's it, they're walking past, there's nothing to do with us now. You know, they're going past. So yeah, on the kid thing, it's been a fearful, again, probably part of the fear-based disease, isn't it? Yeah. I have never wanted to have that full responsibility of being responsible for another person, man. I'm only just getting my shit together at 42, come on. That's it.
So I'm just conscious of time, so we'll just have a couple of bullet points, not bullets, you can expand, but we'll keep it so I get that. So you haven't ruled kids out, but you're not on the agenda. I think, like my brother, he's got a lot of nieces and nephews, and he's amazing, but he can pass them back. So
that's it, I do my bit, fun Auntie Leanne. And also, me and my brother have discussed it, just to quickly say this, because the world's a cracker's place, and it's even worse now, and drugs are going to be worse. And I say, you've got 2 sons, you know, and you know, whereas, so, because my brother, the quick bit about my brother is, he did have a little sesh time, about 6 months in total, that's it. He came partying with me, he was, you know, it was pill popping, a few lines here and there, that's the level of it though. Yeah. And again, this was well over 20 years ago, but he was doing a bit of pill popping, a few lines, hated it with a passion, hated it, but he still came out drinking, and if I needed him, he was there and all that. But that's a brother and sister, you know, 2 brothers together. We've said, look, these are going to be women, there'll be potentially drugs, definitely drink, but all we can, because I've said to him, what are you going to do, Reece? He said, well, all we can do is hope that they've got enough sense not to mess about, but if they do and they start getting absolutely stupid with it, we're coming to see Auntie Leanne. I goes, yes, that's it, Auntie Leanne will step in.
Well, this is what this video is about. I'm doing this for my daughter because I have that fear of a girl, so that's why I'm so pleased of entering this world. So just something, a little insight into what I do on a daily basis and what's out there. So I'm just conscious of time, and I'd like to say this. So what was your experience? What took you to your first meeting? I've got a dead bum as well.
Yeah, definitely, my leg's bumming. So do you know what? There's so much madness to say about this. So my first recovery, didn't do any meetings after being in rehab. I just thought, that's it, I'm fixed, done. Shocker, one of another many reasons why I picked it up. This time I was in Blackpool, nothing was open. Though I felt tons better this time, as in it was my time to do it. It was over. I'd had enough. I'd absolutely had enough. My first recovery, it was the right thing to do to stop. I didn't want to. So that's it. Yeah. This time, I'd had enough. I ended up in Blackpool, like I said, after rehab, in recovery housing. I just started getting online. I have to get this in. My mum, dad and my grandma put 2 for a little iPad, so I could start, networking. Who knew? I didn't even know how to work it, but I was like just getting involved, just Googling recovery events or recovery people, just anything. The very first thing, so I'd been in Blackpool 3-4 days. The very first thing I got invited to attend was arranged by Horizon, a litter picking basically. So I thought, well, let's face it, I could definitely do with giving a bit back. but it's not really about the litter picking, it's about the people, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Met up, about 14 people turned up, went off in little groups. 2 of the people in my group, which is, you know, 2 of our friends, like, from here, who I've remained friends with ever since.
Yeah.
Just got chatting to them. One of them was even from my hometown. I just didn't know him because he'd moved over here 20 odd years ago. They invited me to come to a cafe the day after. Went and did that, so I thought, well, what's the harm in that? I had a bit of a laugh, funny people. I thought, these lot aren't in recovery, they can't be in recovery, they're all funny. You know what I mean? And so a bit of litter picking, you know, turned up at this cafe. Benny turns up, so one of the people were Goose, by the way. Benny turns up. He, you know, sunglasses on, furry hood, looked like a proper G. Right? Chatting away, having a laugh and all that. And he goes, well, next week we're going for a walk and possibly to a meeting at somebody's house. And I was like, meeting? What are you on about? He goes, well, you know, like, you know, fellowship meetings. And he goes, do you want to come? And that is the key element of this. He said, do you want to come? And I thought, you know what, why not? Even though I've never been to a meeting in my life, I'd started to feel a little bit restless already. I didn't know that's what it was, but I'd started to feel restless. That's hence why I was trying to just get doing stuff, meeting people like they suggest. So I ended up at I was going to say, an NA meeting, you know, on at somebody's house. Ended up being 20 odd people there, man. And it was absolutely crackers all that. I can't stay, there's too many people, what they're going to do? Because that's what we do, fight and flight all the time, innit? How do we get out of here? But I can honestly say, this is not the bullshit bit, and this is where the higher power bit comes in from the start and all that, yeah. What the guy said who did the main share made perfect sense, and everything he said, it wasn't the same story, but parts of it was, and the feelings, oh my God, what, it was just the same. And I thought, and he's clean, he's and the people was in the room, it was like 10 years, 11 years, whatever, clean to a month. I was like, wow, I need to get, you know, some more of this in my life, like, and to be honest, that's what I've done since then. I've gone to all different fellowships, all different meetings. I've gone through the steps one way with one sponsor. It was male because there was no females at the time. I've now got a female sponsor, going through it again a different way, and I've never looked back, you know. So I don't know what about you. Yeah,
amazing, that Leanne. So, right, I'm going to be one more question. I'm going to get you out your comfort zone. Are you ready?
What, even more?
So, doing all, and this is the last question, so take as long as you want, and then we'll wrap it up. What is your biggest asset, personal asset, and why? Like, feature, like.
What's my biggest asset?
So, like, because I struggle with this. What's a good part of your character, and why?
Do you know what? I honestly think. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had the pleasurable experience, so it's not felt pleasurable at the start, but because I've been through 2 rehabs, yeah, where they go at you with positive affirmation, you know, and basically cabs and dabs, yeah, so constructive attitudes and behaviours, destructive attitudes and behaviours.
Yeah, I've never heard that, yeah.
So I've had 2 rehabs where people have come at you with good stuff and come at you with, you know, your bad stuff, and it's always easy to accept the bad stuff. I've had experience where I work now, this feed, you know, I work in recovery. I'm a crisis recovery worker now, just to sneak that one in. But but I'm promoting recovery basically, you know, in a crisis house. Yeah. Primarily, it's mental health and addiction and all sorts. So feedback gets given though about the service, and loads of times I've had personal shout outs, and so even though it is still uncomfortable, like we said at the start, we're working on self-esteem, yeah. But I'm getting more comfortable with it. I think one of my best assets is, honest to God, I am proper solution focused, and I don't mean just fellowship or anything like that. That's a way of life. Yeah. I mean, whenever there's anything that goes, I'm always trying to see what we can do about it, or the good side, or, you know, I'm always finding the funny side of things, or the light-hearted side of it. You know, I'm not a negative person. I'm not stuck in negative. Do you know what I mean? Like, some people positive, you meet them. Yeah, like some people you meet. Don't get me wrong, they've got a wealth of knowledge and they're all like, you know, smart and all that. Yeah. I respect them, but I think, my God, man, cheer up. You know, that kind of thing. You know, so I think one of my main assets is, it's sort of like embedded in me, just to, you know, to see the funny side. Or if there's an awkward situation, I'm flipping it. You know what I mean? I am flipping. I'm not sitting in that madness, like.
It's right. Well, I love that. Well, we've come to the end. I could talk to you all day. That was amazing. That. So
No.
thank you. So thanks for keeping me clean for 1 more hour.
Yes.
Thank you. So I've got a dead bum. I'm just going to show that what we've been looking at. So thanks for that, guys. So if you like that, please leave a comment, like and subscribe. Tell all your friends to do the same. There'll be more to follow. Thanks, Leanne. See you later, guys.